Welcome to this video. We will discuss, what if Trump won again? The potential outcome of a second Trump presidency is a topic of significant interest and speculation among people from all political affiliations. The next 4 years will likely be more disruptive to U.S. foreign policy and world affairs than the past 4 have been. Think of his re-election as a pincer movement, an attack on the international order from 2 sides. Trump will consolidate his control over the institutions of government, bending them to his will, removing any lingering resistance from the Republican Party. Meanwhile, by confirming that the United States has rejected its traditional leadership role, a second Trump term would make a lasting impact on the world right when it is at a particularly vulnerable moment. U.S. alliances would likely crumble, the global economy would close, and democracy and human rights would be in rapid retreat. Trump's first term has had a clear narrative arc. He systematically purges his government of those who stand up to him and replaces them with loyalists who indulge his whims and worldview. If he is still president on January 21st, Trump will feel utterly vindicated by a second unlikely victory, thinking that only he is truly in touch with the American people. In a second term, Trump will insist on loyalty with every appointment, but 2 types of loyalists exist. The first is senior Republicans who are steadfastly loyal even if they personally disagree with Trump on certain issues, such as Russia or military intervention in the Middle East. These figures are cut from the mold of Mike Pompeo. They include Senators Tom Cotton and Lindsey Graham, former United Nations Ambassador Nikki Haley, and Secretary of the Treasury Steve Mnuchin. Trump may give these people senior positions, but they will not be free to contradict the president or to pursue their own agendas unless they temporarily align with Trump. The second group is the ultra-loyalists, who owe their positions entirely to Trump's patronage. These are political operatives such as Richard Grenell, who was Trump's ambassador to Germany and acted as Director of National Intelligence for 96 days. And retired military officers and now, cable news commentators such as Anthony Tata and Douglas McGregor. This group also includes the ultra-ultras Trump's family members, who have played a role in his first term, and could be given formal positions of authority in a second. Think of Jared Kushner as National Security Advisor or Secretary of State if Republicans retain a majority in the Senate. With a loyal team in place, what does Trump want to do? The most optimistic theory is that he will be a responsible nationalist. With no elections left to fight and with a conviction that he set the world straight in his first term, he will let things be. For instance, he will be happy with NATO because member countries have committed to paying more for their own defense. His administration's key policy driver will be to transform U.S. strategy for an era of great power competition, particularly against China. Given who the president is, another theory, Trump unbound, seems more likely. In this scenario, his appetite will grow with the eating. As John Bolton concludes in his book, Trump in a second term will be far less constrained by politics than he was in a first term. He will be free to be himself, to pursue policies that benefit him personally by linking decisions to his business interests, by indulging his desire for ratings and drama, and by attacking people he does not like. Substantively, he will double down on his instincts, leaning into ideas he had before he became president. He could pull the plug on NATO entirely by refusing to defend Germany, France, and other selected countries under the Mutual Defense Clause. He could make this decision unilaterally, without authorization from Congress, as it simply entails altering a presidential interpretation of the purposefully vague NATO founding treaty. He's already tried to withdraw troops from South Korea in his first term. But he could make it happen in his second by entering into a peace treaty with North Korea. His first comments on foreign policy in the 1980s were criticisms of Japan, but earlier in his first term he modified his long-standing hostility because of his friendship with Shinzo Abe, which the then Prime Minister carefully cultivated. China is the big unknown in a second Trump term. The Republican foreign policy establishment hopes that rivalry with China will be the organizing principle of U.S. foreign policy. If Trump buys into that stance, then these officials might use that to make the case for their preferred positions toward the Middle East, on Europe, and on economics. The second part of the pincer movement, how the rest of the world will react, is also important in a second term. America's allies and adversaries took a deep breath after the 2016 election. They did not know if Trump's win was a temporary blip or a permanent change. Indeed, this is the top question most foreign governments have had about the United States over the past 4 years. Because it is so consequential to their future. The Trump administration's priority is to signal its America First bona fides to its base rather than to build an international coalition to tackle shared problems. In a second Trump term, foreign countries can expect no coordination on the global economic recovery, the development of a vaccine, the repair of international institutions, or aid for those that were destabilized by the crisis. Autocrats Vladimir Putin, Xi Jinping, Mohammed bin Salman, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, and others have been both deeply insecure and emboldened during Trump's first term. They see him as a kindred spirit and are confident in their ability to influence and persuade him. Trump acknowledged as much to Bob Woodward, "It's funny, the relationships I have, the tougher and meaner they are, the better I get along with them." Ultimately, the outcomes of a second Trump presidency would depend on a range of factors, including the political landscape, economic conditions, and global events. One of Trump's primary goals in running for president again could be to regain power and influence in American politics. He may seek to further advance his agenda and policies, and potentially seek revenge against those who he believes have wronged him. Trump's core supporters remain fiercely loyal to him, and he could aim to mobilize this base to support his candidacy in 2024. This may include rallying support through rallies, social media, and targeted messaging. Following his defeat in the 2020 election, Trump repeatedly challenged the legitimacy of the results and spread baseless claims of voter fraud. It is possible that he could continue to undermine faith in the electoral process if he loses again in 2024. Trump has faced a range of legal and financial challenges, and a second term as president could potentially protect him from prosecution or lawsuits. He may also seek to further enrich himself or his family through his position as president. Trump has long been associated with his personal brand and business ventures, and a second term as president could further enhance his profile and public image. He may seek to use his position to promote his businesses, expand his reach on social media, and increase his media visibility. Trump's children and other family members have become increasingly involved in politics, and he could use his position as president to promote their careers and help them secure political power. This could include appointing them to key positions in his administration or endorsing their candidacies for office. Following his impeachment and other controversies during his presidency, Trump may feel a need to defend his reputation and vindicate himself against his critics. He could seek to prove his detractors wrong by winning a second term as president and showing that he still has a strong base of support. It is impossible to predict with certainty what would happen if he were to win another election. Thanks for watching this video. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content.